what's up, everybody? Coach Ceelo here, and today we've got a very special podcast, a good friend of mine that we've got here as a guest. Let me give you guys a little background on him, all right? He's the founder and CEO of Next Level Success. He empowers entrepreneurs and business professionals to take their business to the next level and create even more success. For over 10 years, he's provided live trading events, coaching programs to help his community improve in the area of leadership development, business growth, strategies, financial education. He's consulted and worked countless small business owners, home business owners, even major corporations doing hundreds of millions in revenue, providing them with strategies needed to consistently grow their sales, revenues, and profits. He's been featured on Success Magazine. He's even been on The Bachelorette. Guys, his mission is to empower the next generation of business leaders worldwide, help them attain results they've never thought possible with his blueprint for success. He's been able to provide a plan and path for his entrepreneurial community to become leaders in their field and the heroes of their story. Guys, it is my pleasure to introduce you to Karl Smith. Karl Smith, brother, how you doing, man?
What is up, my man? How you doing?
Man, I'm doing great. I'm so happy you're here, man.
Me too, man. I'm happy you invited me on. This is great. This is
listen,
great. Feels like old times.
Man, tell me about it, right? I just want to jump right in and, obviously I just said a mouthful, right? You've done a lot. But for those of us that don't know you, why don't you tell everybody how Karl Smith became Karl Smith?
All right, dope. So as you were mentioning, my name is Karl Smith. I'm the founder of Next Level Success. And at NLS, what we do is we empower entrepreneurs, business and sales professionals to take their businesses to the next level and create even more success. For over, I said 10 years, it's actually been over like 15 years. My team and I, we've been putting on live training events, coaching programs to help people improve in leadership development, business growth strategies, and also financial education and planning. We've worked with the small business owners, like you mentioned. Home-based business owners has been our bread and butter for the last 15 plus years, but I've also worked with major corporations doing hundreds of millions of dollars in revenue. And, it's all about providing them with the right strategies to consistently improve their sales, their revenue, and their profits. And so I always talk to people. We put on events every single month, networking events, entrepreneur workshops, and I let people know if we can help them, chances are we could probably help you too. And like you mentioned, our mission is just to empower the next generation of business leaders worldwide and to help them attain results they never thought possible. So I actually have a free gift for your listeners, for those that are tuning in. I heard that a lot of them are in the sales business. Everyone's got sales background. Some of them are high ticket. Some of them are low ticket. Some of them are no tickets because they got no sales. I'm going to provide you guys with some resources really quick. For those of you guys that are interested in a free gift, just go ahead and check us out. You could visit, livenext.com. Okay, it's a new landing page that we have. We have a free gift, and it's basically how to experience your greatest year yet, what you can do, the one thing that you can actually change in your business to help you double sales in the next 12 months or less. So go to livenext.com. That's LYV. Next, NEXT.com. Again, that's livenext.com, LYVNEXT.com, and you can check it out all there, right there. And then for those of you guys that are looking to follow me on social channels, you could hit me up, K Smith Inspires, on any channel, and we can make sure that we're dropping some gems, giving you some bombs that you need to create your next breakthrough.
Awesome.
Yeah.
So how'd you get to become Karl Smith?
Love it, man. So great question. I started off in the sales and business world at the age of 18 years old. I was going to school at FIU. I was studying pre-med. My parents said, we don't know a lot. We came from Haiti. Here we are in Miami. We don't even know the language. We don't know the system. We don't know how things work. But all we know is people who get into the medical field are going to have a chance to make money. You're going to actually be okay. You're not going to struggle for money. You could be fine. So they said, go do it. So I have like 5 siblings. Everyone's taught, just go in the medical field, go in the medical field. So I'm going to FIU. I'm taking on these courses, biologies, chemistries, organic chemistries, physics. And I'm like, I don't know how many times these people are going to let me retake these classes right before they're like, bro, you don't belong here, right? But something was like, this is not where I'm supposed to be. I knew it, and I didn't know much. I didn't know a lot, but I knew that there was something else that was calling for me. And in my mind, I'm looking around, and everyone else that I thought was figuring it out at 18 years old, they were all getting jobs. So people are working at the mall. Some people are working at the movies. Some of my best friends worked at the movies. Like, oh, Karl, come through. You can sneak into the movie for free. I got you with free tickets. And I'm like, man, these guys, These guys figured out how life works. You know what I mean? Unlimited free movie tickets. Like what can beat that? So I'm trying to get jobs at the movie theaters, at the mall. I applied at Champs. I applied at the food places, the places I like to go eat, at Chili's. None of these places are like calling me back. And when I'm talking to people in person, like, listen, man, I'm a hard worker. And they're like, but you don't have any experience. And I'm like, well, how am I supposed to get experience if you're not going to hire me? Like, what came first, right? The chicken or the egg?
Right.
And so I'm there like, I think my life is doomed to go in this endless circle. And I have a friend of mine. He hits me up. His name's BJ. He was going to FIU. We went to the same high school. He introduced me to my first little job selling kitchen knives door to door, right? Cutco knives, for those of you guys that have been there, done that, heard of it. And I was like, man, this sucks, but they'll accept me, so why not? I'll try it. And within a few months of doing that, he introduces me to another opportunity where now it's a telecom company. And he invites me to a meeting, and I'm like, all right, what is this thing about? You already introduced me to the sales thing with the kitchen knives. He's like, no, this is better. And I go to this event. We show up in a meeting room. I'm hearing a lineup of different speakers. This one speaker that was there talking training was 20 years old at the time. And I'm 18, and this guy's 20, and the way he spoke woke something up inside of me. Like, he was already successful. He's making six-figure income. At the time, he was driving a Benz. He's living on the beach, and later on was driving a Porsche. And I'm here like, yo, this guy's not even legal to drink alcohol, but like something about what he's communicating. And he was talking to me about entrepreneurship, right? He's talking about generating an unlimited income potential, you know, getting paid residual income so you could build an asset one time and get paid over and over and over on it, even after you stop working. These are concepts like I never even heard about. It was the dream. It was perfect. It was everything I needed to hear. And while I was there with some of my friends, the crazy thing is that my friends are looking at this thinking, you know, like, this thing's a scam. They want money. I bet they want money. And he's like, for you to join the program and get mentorship and get the system and the website, boom, $500. And you have to spend some other money just to get set up properly. And my friend, I knew it. And then these guys are walking out. And I'm here like, yeah. I don't even have the money to do this. But I'm here like, I think this is a good idea because I don't see anyone working at McDonald's that's trying to teach you how to get rich, drive a Porsche, get your own Benz before you're 20, live on the beach. Like, no one's having those conversations. So something was like, you got to get in on this. And so I did. My friends laughed at me. They said, yo, you're going to fail. This is not going to work. When I'm trying this thing out for the first 2 weeks. And I fail. My mentor says, yo, Karl, keep going. And I'm like, all right, cool. I'll keep pushing. a month, 2 months, 3 months, 6 months go by. And now I'm talking to people all over the place. I'm going to malls. I'm going to the street. I'm talking to family members and friends. Everyone's avoiding me, right? I'm talking to family members, and they know that every single time I'm going to try to like reach out to them, it's because I'm going to try to sell them something. So I talked to hundreds of people. I got absolutely nowhere. My bills were piling up. I was living off credit cards. I wasn't making any money because I was making no sales, so no commissions, no check. And I was like, I don't even know if I can do this anymore. So I had great mentorship back then. I remember him sitting me down, and he says, Karl, listen, I know you want to quit, but you decided to start this thing for a reason. And he says, I believe you have what it takes to make six figures working this thing with me. He says, but you can't expect it to happen right now. He says, and I remember the exact meeting. He says, Karl, if you give me 2 years of your life, I promise you, you can actually grow into the person that's worthy and deserving to be able to achieve your top goals, realize your dreams. He says, you'll be able to eventually make an impact to your community, society, and eventually the rest of the world. But he says, you got to stick to this, and you got to work on growing you. You got to commit to becoming what you must to achieve what it is that you love. He says, you said you want to make six figures so you can help out your family, right? And I was like, yeah. He's like, well, is that still true? And I thought, yeah, it is still true. And he was like, you said you wanted to be able to move out of your parents' house, get your own spot. You want to live on the beach. Like, I'm living on the beach, right? Is that still true? I was like, yeah, I mean, hell yeah, I want to do that. And he says, well, you think you're going to do it working at Walmart for minimum wage? I was like, no. And he's like, all right, so like you got two options, right? You're either going to win or you are going to quit. There's no winning and losing. There's no winning and failing. It's either you win or you quit. So what choice are you going to make? And I was like, damn. And he got me. And then so he says, here's the one distinction we're going to make, okay? You are where you are right now with your results because of who you are. He says, you take a look, fast forward, look at other people like that have been doing this longer than you. You got some people that are making $5,000 a month. You have some people making $50,000 a month. And in that business, or some people making $500,000 every single month. And he's like, what do you think the difference is, right? You think the difference is, there's a slight tweak in this script right here, and you think the script is the problem? He's like, no, the script is not the problem. At the end of the day, you are where you are because of who you are. And if you were meant to be rich, you would already be rich. But the reality is your level of self hasn't met that standard, hasn't met that level of success. So the problem is you, the solution is going to be you. And until you commit to working on you, you're only going to get the results that you're experiencing right now with who you are as you. Damn, slap me up some more, right? So I got it. And so he introduced me to books and he says, here's what you're going to do. You're going to commit to reading books every single day. You're going to read 10 pages a day. And I said, 10 pages a day? I could do more. He's like, I don't need you to do more. Just read 10 pages, right? 10 minutes a day, 15 minutes a day, read 10 pages. And I said, why 10? And he said, because 10 pages a day is 300 pages in a month. 300 pages in a month is equivalent to 1 or 2 books. Let's call it 1. 1 book a month is equivalent to 12 books in a year. And he says, you're focused on where you're at right now because of who you are right now. But he says, if you're reading 12 books a year, he says, fast forward 3 years, 5 years. In 5 years, when the average American would have bought 1 book a year, and 80% of them don't even make it past the first chapter, but they're buying books. Ooh, I feel smart. He's like, in 5 years, you would have actually read 60 books. You would have completed it. And it would make you an expert in whatever field you decide to study and pursue. I was like, damn. And he's like, so most people are going to underestimate what their ability is, right? They overestimate what their ability is for the short-term goals, right? But then they underestimate what's really possible for them if they're willing to be consistent in the long term. So you got to think long term. You always got to be thinking 2, 3, 5 years out. You got to commit to mastery. So I'm like, all right, I get it. So 10 pages of a good book every single day. What else? He says, you're going to take all the music that you're listening to. What are you listening to right now? I was like, Lil Wayne, Drake. He's like, take all that shit, throw it out. And he says, what you're going to do is you're going to replace music with audiobooks, more learning. He says, the average American drives about 12,000 miles a year. 12,000 miles a year ends up being about 300 hours. And he's like, so every year that goes by, you could determine what goes in for 300 hours. What do you want being poured into your brain? You want the lyrics of the song that no one's going to care about in 6 or 12 months from now? Or do you want to pour it in with new knowledge? You want to help develop your skill sets. You want to develop the attitudes, the attributes, the behaviors, the disciplines of the people you're trying to model and follow. That's what he said. And I was like, damn. He's like, 300 hours every single year. What would happen in 2 years? What would happen in 5? And I was like, got that. And he's like, and the other thing you're going to commit to is every single time I'm doing a training event, you're going to show up. So if I'm training people on something you feel you already know, you're going to show up. And he says, I'd rather you learn to master. It's the thing that Bruce Lee says, master 1 key skill, master 1 move, master 1 kick 10,000 times, then try to learn 10,000 different things. So he's doing trainings every single week, right? You were part of it, right? A lot of our people and other people, they were all part of it. And we're hearing the same thing every single Thursday, every single Friday, every single Saturday. He says, just plug in and you'll start to see that you'll start to transform. So fast forward 2 years later, now it's like my 21st birthday. It's December of 2008 or 2009. Now I'm really dating myself. And we basically get to like this conference. And at this conference, there's like 30,000 people. And my mentor is there. And then there's another person that's there. His name's by the name of Darren Hardy. And he gives the talk. And when I hear this talk, I don't know what about that talk. It was just so powerful. I felt like he was speaking directly to me. And I felt like everything I had learned for the 2.5, 3 years before had just clicked and made sense. So that next month is January 2009. That's what it was. I remember I'm a new man. Everyone else is celebrating New Year's 2 weeks into the year. Oh yeah, new year, new me, right? And they're making, yeah, it's true. They're making resolutions that they're not going to keep, right? And I'm sitting there and I'm like, nah, no partying, no drinking, no fun. And my friends are like, dude, you just turned 21. You got to have fun. I'm like, no fun, no partying, no drinking, no nothing. I'm going to learn to master this. And that month, I took what I learned the month before from Darren Hardy, who's another success coach, amazing individual. He wrote a book called The Compound Effect. I read that book. When I read that book right there, immediately I closed the book. I opened it back up. I'm like, I got to read this again. And I read it 5 times in like 2 weeks. And it was all about mastering disciplines, behaviors to develop new habits and break the chains and the cables of old previous habits because you are where you are because of who you are. So I get this book, I hear the training, I listen, I read over and over again, audiobooks over and over again. Now I'm on this thing where I'm like going for no, and I'm talking to people, and I'm just not caring about the sales that I wasn't making, not caring about the people that didn't want to talk to me. I'm actually embracing the no's and the negativity because I have a list, I have a checklist of this is how much failure I have to go through every single day. So January 2009, I go, and for the first time ever, I make 12 grand that month as a 21-year-old kid. And that was my first breakthrough. And I was like, oh my God, I can't believe this. And it's funny now, right? You fast forward and I'm doing business coaching and I talk to people and they're like, oh, $12,000 is not a big deal. And I'm like, yeah, it's not a big deal for you now. I get it. You're a masterful entrepreneur. But at that time, at 21, I was working full time, 50, 60 hours weeks. And I couldn't break past the $2,000 income barrier in 30 days of working, hustling, not choosing to do anything else. And then finally I do this. That was a big freaking deal for me. And at that point, I remember I just made a decision that this is going to be the new standard. This is going to be how I live my life moving forward, right? So the next month I do the same thing. The first 3 months of the year, I made over 30K. That year, I made over 100 grand for the first time ever at 21. And, that's when I become a success story and other people are starting to look like, oh, damn, what's he doing? Oh my gosh, he proved us wrong. Oh my gosh, can you give us, what's the strategy? What are the tips? Give us a formula. But more importantly than all that other stuff, what it was like, I just reached a new breakthrough within myself. And Jack Canfield talks about this thing. He says, when you set a goal for yourself and you try and do it, you're not going to achieve it right away. And most people give up because they set a goal that they don't end up achieving. And Jack Canfield says, that's good. Right? Because if you set up a goal and you're not able to achieve it, that means the goal is bigger than who you are. And is a goal really a goal if it's not bigger than who you are? I mean, it's like if I decide, oh, my goal today, what's your goal? I want to go and get a drink of water. And then I reach over and I grab the water. Was that really a dream? Was that a goal? Did that force you to stretch? Did you have to become something more? No, right? You just grab something. But he says, when you have a goal that's worth having, now you have to stretch. And the important part about having a dream and having the goal is not whether or not you attain it, it's what it makes of you to actually become big enough to be able to attain it and achieve it and accomplish it. So there's an element of growth that's there. And I realized it. And your self-confidence goes up dramatically. And Jack Canfield says, you want to find a goal that's way outside of your regular norm because whether it takes you months, whether it takes you years to accomplish it, the second you do, there's something that clicks inside of you. And it will quantum leap your success in everything else that you do because of this new level of self.
That makes sense. A lot of sense.
Right?
Yeah.
And so you have a new level of you, your self-confidence goes up, and things you would have said, no, I can't do that. No, I can't take on that challenge. Someone says, I have an idea, where before you would have been like, oh, that's impossible. That's dumb. That's not going to work. Now your mind starts shifting into how could I make it work? What would it take to make it possible? How can I actually partner up with Christian to figure out what resources we can bring together to make this thing work? And when it fails the first 10,000 times, you say, good. How do we bring in other people? How do we bring in other players like Nelson, Montana method? How do I get him involved? How do we figure this thing out? And you achieve that, and now you're at a whole new level of self-consciousness. It's just unbelievable. But it's a journey of personal development. So that's essentially how I got to where I was. So at 21 years old, I'm here, I'm looking at myself, and now people are hitting me up for the first time, where for the first 3 years, it's me knocking, begging. People are looking at me. People are laughing at me. People are, they're just not believing in what it is that I see. But at the end of the day, I realized that, it wasn't for them to see in the first place, right? If you got a dream, if you have a vision, if you have a goal, I mean, who's the one that put it in there? Your friends? No. Your parents? No. Your negative spouse? No, right? God put that in you, and he's the only one. You're the only one that he gave that vision to. You're the only one that's going to be able to see it. Now it's up to you to decide what are you going to do with it, right? So at 21, I realized, damn, okay, I'm meant for a lot more, and this was just the beginning. So that following year, because of this newfound belief, it took me 3 years to get to the point where I could even make $100,000 a year as a 21-year-old kid. The following year, I remember I helped a couple other people do it for the first time. The year after that, now I'm 23 years old. I'm looking 4 or 5 partners. We're like, yo, are we going to do this? Are we going to do this? Yeah. And that year, we end up getting 1,000+ people that we recruit into our sales team. And with 1,000+ people, now all of a sudden we got like 10,000+ customers that year. And with 10,000+ customers that year, now we're doing 8 figures in revenue for this company And I'm still 23 years old. It was like all surreal. And people are like, how do you keep doing this? I'm like, I don't know. We're just going to keep quantum leaping. Let's go. Let's set up another goal that's impossible. And everyone looks at you like this is not going to work. And I look around. I don't even know how it's going to work. But you put a smile on. You say, put on your shoes. Let's start running. Put a smile on. Let's get to work. Let's make it happen. And you just fight and you fight and you fight to break down walls, break down barriers. So fast forward a few years, now all of a sudden I'm 26 years old and I end up becoming a regional vice president of a company that's doing just shy of $1 billion in revenue, right? And I have a team that's built up. We've recruited over 10,000 salespeople. We had over 60,000 plus customers. We're doing over $30 or $40 million in revenue that we're actually bringing and contributing to this company. And people are looking at me like, yo, you're only a quarter of a century years old, bro. What is this? It's all this experience, it's life experience, but it only came from setting goals that were way outside of my reach and figuring, yo, we're either going to do this or we're going to die. We do this or we perish. That's it. There is no retreat, right? And so I'm a regional vice president. I'm getting a promotion. I remember me and you're going to be interviewing one of our other business partners at the time and one of my best friends to today, right? Carlos Jimenez.
Yeah.
I remember that day we both got promoted together and I'm sitting there and I'm looking back at this. Every time I look back, it's nostalgic because it's like, I had built a team of 10,000 people. We're in an arena with 30,000 people. I have 1,000 of my team members there with me, carrying me up on their shoulders, bringing me to the stage. And that was the first time I got to share my story on how I became the hero of my own story. I got to share my message. I got to share my lessons in front of 30,000 plus people and realize like, God damn, we actually did it, you know? And that level of self-confidence in myself and the belief that it gave me with what could basically become possible after that changed my life forever. It wasn't the achieving of the rank or the position or building a team of 10,000 people, getting 50, 60,000 plus customers and all that stuff. Like everyone else looks at that, oh, how much money did you make? How much? I'm like, none of that shit even matters. Here's what was great. Because of the person I became with that, when I basically stepped out into other ventures and I had to pivot in my life and I decided, what do I want to do? And I knew that I love building business. Yes, I like to make money. Yes, I like to chase goals. But more importantly than the business aspect was realizing that other people like have dreams, aspirations to become more, to do more, to have more, to want to achieve more. And they weren't as fortunate to end up with a mentor at 18. They weren't fortunate to end up in an environment that was going to help to pull the best out of them, that was going to force them to level up, learn some new skills. And I decided that, you know what, maybe I could be that voice. Maybe I could be that person for those people that are trying to reach for more. Were you going to say something? No? Oh, I thought you were saying something. And that's how Next Level Success was born, right? And so with Next Level Success, I said, all right, man, how do I just bring this information? We got a blueprint, and this blueprint freaking works. And it's all about how do you actually become the person, become the one, right? That could actually allow you to achieve your top goals and realize your dreams, become the hero of your own story, make an impact on the world. We created this formula. We call it the Invincible Leadership Blueprint, okay? And we talk about how to actually set the game up to win. We talk about how to actually become the one. We talk about the dynamic duplication and growth formula and how to duplicate yourself throughout others. And now I found myself going and talking to people in the real estate business, talking to people in financial planning, talking to people in insurance, talking to people in different industries and fields, offering loans, working with banks, like everywhere. I realized, man, all business is people helping and serving other people. And so if you could find a way to just bring value to people, you have unlimited possibilities of what you could go out there and create. And that's how I was able to land small business owners, for the people that even own restaurants that say, oh, I'm going to help you out, or pet training companies, all the way to companies that are doing 100 million plus in revenue, $500,000 in actual revenue. I don't know how much the loan company was doing, but they're handing out loans, and these guys are making a bunch of money. And I'm training salespeople for this just because of the value that I developed, right? So, you know, one of the first things that I tell everyone is like, everyone has talents, everyone has gifts, and everyone has desires to do something great, do something special, do something different. But people really have to hone into what is it that makes me different? What is it that makes me unique? What experiences did I go through in the past that allow me to become valuable? And people don't realize that everyone has a story. And your story is either going to keep you, the story you keep telling yourself, is going to keep you from becoming the person that you're capable of becoming and producing the results that are actually meant for you. Because a lot of people are out there and they have that dream. I want to start a podcast. I actually want to start a YouTube channel. I want to affect the lives of other people. I want to be able to impact different communities. I want to be able to feed the poor. I want to be able to do these things. People have these desires, but what happens is it's like a quote from Henry David Thoreau where he says, most people live lives of quiet desperation. And they end up going to their graves with that song still in their heart, right? And so you end up literally having these things you want to do. You never even put yourself out there because you just settle, right? Meandering in the maze of mediocrity. And so you settle for security. And so you settle for the job that you hate, but it's going to keep my bills paid. And so you settle for a group surrounded by people that you know aren't going to help to pull the best out of you. And you settle, and then you wake up 40 years later, you don't have the energy you once had. You don't have the aspirations you once had. You look back and you think, man, the good old days weren't all that great because I never really got to fight and push and see what I was really capable of contributing, to the world, to society, for my family. And so I just wanted to be that beacon. I wanted to help people realize that, look, man, you got something in you and you have experiences that do make you unique, and they do make you valuable. Let's help you bring that out, right? And let's help you create a story, and let's help you share that story, and let's pull the life lessons that you have from this, and let's figure out what you can do and bring to the world. And so today we've worked with, real estate professionals, financial planners, like I mentioned, people that are in the sales business, people with mom and pop shops, people that are building bigger corporations. And it's all about, how are we going to turn things around? What do we got to do to create the next breakthroughs? And we work with people that were down and out, started broke, busted, disgusted with absolute nothing. Right? People that started off with zero, matter of fact, less than zero, in debt. And in 1 to 2 years, generating 6-figure incomes all from scratch because they got their mind right, they got their skills up, and they got around an environment of people that were committed to winning. And we work with companies that were already doing well, right? Already doing 7 figures in business. And we showed them how to double their sales, double their revenue within 12 to 24 months just by implementing these same strategies. Build a better team of people, you're going to end up having a better business because at the end of the day, business is people. That makes sense.
So you've always been known among us as always a very happy-go-lucky person, life of the party, that kind of thing.
Yeah.
So what would you say has been maybe one of the craziest or the funniest experiences you've ever had during it could be during the network marketing days, it could be during, the next level, wherever, but something funny, something crazy that at some point in time.
Honestly, my life's funny all the time. It's like you said, man. I mean, all right, so there's Carl the Dolphin. I really categorize or compartmentalize my life into like 3 different categories, which is funny because ChatGPT helped take like what was in my head already and helped me like kind of like create this in a way that it was like plain. But really, it helped me realize like, yo, you have like 3 versions of you. Like, you know what I mean? And it's like 3 identities within one, which I feel like we all have, by the way. Maybe not 3. I might be a special case, but you got different ones, right? And so you have Carl the dreamer, and Carl's the one that's empathetic. Carl's the one that likes getting along with people. You have people's best interests in mind. Then after that, you have dreams that for some reason Carl always struggled to become or achieve or whatever it is. And so there's this alter ego that came into play, which was K. Smith. And K. Smith is like, yo, when it's time to go into war mode, K. Smith comes out. And when K. Smith comes out, it's funny because you guys know Karl the Dolphin, which is actually K. Swiss, which is number 3. But K. Smith had to evolve for me to create certain results in business, in my life, my financial goals, finding ways to just balance work and family and being disciplined and all that stuff. And without K. Smith, I wouldn't have been able to do the things and create those breakthroughs. So it's like, yo, just you go into war zone, K. Smith comes out. It's like my Batman. Then after that, you have K. Swiss, which is like K. Swiss ends up reaping the rewards. He realizes and lives. It's crazy. It's like all the fruits of your labor. It's like K. Swiss is like the future version of Karl that actually gets to experience this in a childlike manner where it's just all about fun. So K. Swiss is fun. He's all about being in the moment. And I don't know, man, I can't tell you like one specific thing. A lot of the times that were my funnest moments are the moments that I can't really remember, if you know what I mean.
Yeah.
Because I'm a work hard, play hard type of guy, but I find a way to just enjoy the moment of whatever it is that I'm doing. So I'm here with you right now. I'm enjoying the moment. We're laughing. We're reminiscing on good old times. We could talk about the future. I could make jokes and all that stuff. It's going to be great. When I'm working my business and I'm working with my sales groups, or I'm working with CEOs of companies, and we talk about goals we want to set, and then we smash those goals and we find a way to meet our metrics, meet our objectives. Then it's like, all right, cool, man. We didn't work this hard. I didn't sacrifice and not go out for 3 to 6 months for just me to not work and sacrifice for 3 to 6 months. Now it's time to celebrate. And so I might go on a 2-week bender, 1-month bender, where it's just all fun and games. And it's about traveling. It's about living life. It's about new experiences. And so I don't know, man. I'm an all around just fun loving dude. And I can find anything in life to just enjoy and be grateful for and just, live in the moment.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Awesome, man. And just for everybody to know, I've known Karl for many years. Not only that, dude, it's impossible to feel bad around this guy because you light up everybody. Not only do you light up the room, but you light up everybody that's around you, not only with inspiration, but just with happiness. You know what I mean? So that's always a cool thing.
Thank you, man. Appreciate it.
Let's talk about money, man.
Okay.
What would you say? And it doesn't necessarily have to be the largest amount, but what would you say was an amount of money that you made at some specific point of your business that's changed everything for you, whether it was a limiting belief or whether it was just like, damn, I just did that. You know what I mean? What was something that had some shock value for you and maybe some shock value for the people at the podcast,
I don't really know. I don't think of money that way. I mean, there's times where I've had $10,000 or $15,000 as a 21-year-old kid, and I was like, oh my gosh, most amount of money I've seen. I've had months where I've made $50,000, $60,000, $70,000 plus, and I don't really like to talk about money all that much in terms of how much I made any given year, because most of the time that I actually make it, I end up blowing it. And because I haven't had much to show for it afterwards, it hasn't been something that I was like most proud of, if I could be honest with that. But I will tell you this. I mean,
well, that's a good lesson for everybody out there that's making it for the first time, right?
Well, it's actually one of the reasons why I got into like financial planning, right? It's like when I realized that by the time I was 31 or 32, being able to see that the year before I clear over $500,000 and then not like have much to show for it at all. You're dealing with the tax man. I'm dealing with my accountant. Mm-hmm. They're like, yo, you owe this much in taxes. And I'm like, I don't got it. He's like, what do you mean you don't got it? I'm like, bro, who has this type of money to pay for taxes? He's like, you do. What did you do with your finances? What did you do with your money? I'm like, bro, I'm living. I'm choosing to travel. I'm like, man, it's like I work hard and then I play hard. And when I'm playing hard, and it's not the right way to think about things, but I used to think of budgets as like taking away from like my freedom. Like I don't want to have a budget. Like if I slaved away to do this, and this is what I'm feeling at the time, I'm going to do it. And I'll deal with the consequences later. And that's kind of like been K-Swiss in motion, if we want to say, right?
Right.
But I had to learn from those, in my early 30s and realize like, you can't live like that forever, and that's not going to be sustainable, and you have to learn to be responsible. It's called growing up. It's called being an adult, right? But I will say this. Going through those hard lessons helped me value the importance of financial education, right? It's one of the reasons why I actually partnered up with a financial planning company based out of San Francisco, California. And I really wanted to get good at this. I started learning and reading books, looking into Dave Ramsey, Total Money Makeover. That's another one. I'd binge read that book. I read it again. And you might have all types of people in the world of finance. Oh, Dave Ramsey. I say, yeah, you can say whatever you want about Dave Ramsey. Yes, some of his models are outdated and all that stuff. But here's what he does teach you. It teaches you the importance of really being disciplined with your money, giving every single dollar of yours a name, and giving it a job, and knowing that every single time, if you view your money as a soldier, right? And you are putting that soldier to work. And when you go, you're going into war as a soldier. You have a job to do as a soldier. And when you come back, because your job is to come back to me, you're coming back with captives and you're coming back with new friends. And that's the model. And I remember just learning to think of my money in buckets and learning to think of my money that way and learning to give every single dollar a name, started changing my behaviors and habits. And that's ultimately how any person, regardless of how much money you make, you don't need to make $500,000, and I've made more than that, and I'm not going to talk about it. But And that's not even impressive in my mind too. This is another reason why I'm not, oh, look at how much money I made, da 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 da. I literally have a check right now in my drawer at my house from a client that's actually they're trying to get me to be a client. I did work with them, and they're trying to get me to commit for the next 6 months. And I took on a new role. And basically, we're going to expand the financial company that I'm working with. We're going to bring their headquarters from San Francisco, and we're going to open up a new one here in Miami. So There's a lot of stuff we got to do. I have a dental practice with my brother that we took over from my father. Started off doing just a few $100,000 in revenue for my dad in business. He wasn't a business owner. He was just a professional. He was just, a dentist. And had 2 or 3 employees at any given moment. The business does a few $100,000 a year, pays his salaries, takes home the rest. And me and my brother came out of dental school. We had to figure out how to revamp. And within 2 years, we had that same business doing 1.2, 1.5 million in revenue.
Wow.
And then we had to outgrow that first facility. We opened up a second one. And that second one, we went from having 4 operatory rooms to 10. Now the business started growing. Once that went on for about 3 to 4 years, we opened up a second one. And now we just opened up our third office just 2 months ago. So we're growing. It's a family business. I love it because it's something I get to do with my brother. I'm not going to talk about finances because he would kill me because he's really the responsible one. But this third office is bigger than the first 2 offices we have combined. And it's just growing and everything. We just finished having our grand opening. We had a couple hundred people that ended up showing up that day. Amazing. And it was like we're just packed out. We're doing what we got to do to keep growing. And it's just one project that I have. But going back to it, like I'm a busy person because I just work on the things that I feel are going to contribute or add value, especially with the people I care about. And, I'm that dreamer type of person. I'm like, how can we do something that's impossible? No, Karl, that doesn't seem realistic. Good. That means that's a good sign. That means it's something we need to be doing, right? And there's a company that's trying to hire me to train their sales teams. And I'm like, sorry, man, I'm all tied up. I can't do it. And he's like, all right, how about like one-on-one coaching? And I did 2 coaching sessions. I'm like, dude, you're a pain. Like, I can't. And he's like, all right, how about we just do 6 months? I'm like, no, because like you're just the toll that you have. I'm going to go over this blueprint, but you challenge me on everything. And like, I only want to work with you if you're coachable. If you're not coachable. And so anyways, long story short, he mails a $50,000 check to my house. And he's like, good, boom, the next 6 months, just one-on-one coaching paid in advance. And I had to mail it back to him. And he's like, don't do that. He sent me another one and I avoided it. I'm like, we're not playing this game, right? And some people are like, $50,000, I could never. How could you? It's like, I know the amount of distraction that this is going to bring towards the other goals that are more important and the upside on the other goals with the dental business, with the financial business, even with my coaching company. $50,000 for 6 months of work is really nothing. But there was a moment in my life where being handed a check for 50 grand.
Yeah.
And you're looking at it, right?
With
it's so funny. It has your name on it and it's $50,000. Like, please cash me. Like that was just a dream at one point, And there's other coaches that are out there that do 10 or 100 times that much. And you know what I say? Kudos to you. But I've never been one to chase money. I don't chase money. I chase purpose. I chase a mission. And that mission has to be something I feel is aligned with the purpose. And it's got to represent who I am. It's got to represent what I'm committed to. And it's got to represent some type of contribution, something that makes other people's lives better, And I feel like if most people could align their decisions like that, they would make a lot less shitty decisions, life decisions. And they would put themselves more in line with things that serve their, the greater good at the end of the day, And most people are missing that, right? Most people live lives of quiet desperation. Henry David Thoreau. And people ask me all the time, what does that even mean? It means you're settling for bullshit. That's what it means. It means you're settling for less. You're settling for less than what you know you're capable of becoming. That's what it means. And you're going to sit there and know that I never even found the answer as to whether I could at the end of the day, right? So like, fuck failure. Most people are so afraid of this failure thing. How am I going to look if I fail? I want to start that podcast. How's it going to look? I want to start a YouTube channel. How's it going to look? It's crazy. No, so remember George Zalicki, right? He says the greatest enemy you're going to have to your success are going to be the eyes, the ears, and opinions of other people. And that's it. It's going to keep you small. It's going to keep you in a cage. And that cage, that little circle that you basically live your life, it's called the comfort zone, is going to become your shackle. They're going to become cables that just keep you tied in, and it's going to feel impossible to break out of. So you got to start, but it all starts with a dream. It all starts with, what do I want? What's next for me in my life? People got to determine what's next for them, you know?
That's amazing, dude.
Yeah.
So here's something that is very much applicable to what you do, to what I do, and I think very applicable to everybody who's watching this. Obviously, when you got started, mentorship was really important, but I'm sure that you've continued other mentorships before. I mean, you mentor people, but I'm sure you also got mentored. Like, talk to us about the value of mentorship.
Man, so there's a quote, right? It says, alone you could go fast, but together you can go far. And it just goes along the lines with another quote, which is basically like, you know, a smart person learns from their own mistakes. A wise person learns from other people's mistakes. And there's times where, you know, there's things you want to achieve. And if it's a real dream, if it's a real goal, it's bigger than who you are, right? And most people don't realize that, well, if I'm going to take the mentality of trying to do this myself, then good, you're going to start your journey. But as you start your journey, guess what you're going to run into? You know, you have a destination, you start, but the first thing you're going to run into is a pit. You're going to fall. You're going to end up in a ditch somewhere. It's, oh my gosh, I didn't even realize this ditch was here. How'd I end up in here? Now it's costing me more money than I thought. Now I'm stuck with this problem that I don't know how to solve. Now I'm stuck with a client that I don't know how to fulfill on, right? So you're always going to end up in a ditch. And then it's going to take time for you to find your way out of that ditch. Because sometimes you don't have the means, sometimes you don't have the tools, strategies, you don't have the strength. And so finding a mentor gives you a shortcut. You know, finding someone who knows the route. They know the road ahead. And they know, okay, cool. Well, when you get to this part of the road, this is what you actually want to avoid because there's quicksand there. You're not going to see it until you actually show up. Here, when you get to this part of the road on your journey, you actually want to make sure that you lean a little more to the left because otherwise there's going to be a cliff. You're going to fall right off. And when you go past this cave, there's going to be lions, tigers, and bears inside, and they're going to come at you. So before you get to this cage, you got to make sure that you're equipped with these tools so that you could at least fend them off. No one's going to fight them off for you. You got to fight those demons. You got to fight those battles. But I can tell you it's going to be here, here, and here. And if you have this tool, if you have this partner, if you have this strategy, if you have this website, if you have this, what do we call it? We're talking about this thumbnail. This is going to give you the tool that you need to overcome that obstacle when you get there, you know? And so you need to have a mentor. A mentor is going to shave years of experience. And you know, one thing that Tony Robbins talks about, and Tony Robbins has been one of my great mentors, started off from the very beginning, right? I cut my teeth on anything that Tony Robbins talks about because he doesn't just talk about business. And he doesn't just talk about leadership, but he really helped emphasize the importance of controlling and maintaining the right psychology. And all business, it's a spiritual game, but it's a game of psychology. And you really got to understand your psyche, but you got to understand other people from where they come from. And most people don't know how to do it. But he says, you know, the path to mastery is this. You have people that basically come in and they'll start something and they end up being the dabbler. So you say, I'm going to start this new business. You try it. You don't have the success right away. And so you say, this doesn't work. And then you quit and then you try something else. And then you join the next opportunity. You join the next company. You do the next sport and you say, oh yeah, this is going to be great. And you know, it's so easy to experience some type of growth when you start something new because learning a new skill, learning a new script, learning how to hold a tennis racket, learning how to shoot a basketball, you can go from not knowing how to do it to you learn for a week, 2 weeks, a few days, and all of a sudden you're doing it. So you're getting this positive reinforcement. And it makes you feel good, like there's growth. So all of a sudden, oh yeah, this is it. But then you plateau. And when you plateau for long enough, then you say, this shit doesn't work anymore. And you dabble into the next thing. Most people in life are dabblers. That's why they're never going to be successful. Anybody that has an idea, they be all these idea people. Oh, I got this great idea. Most people fail on the follow through. Okay. And we were talking about it earlier. They refuse to put in 10,000 hours. So they dabble. And dabblers, by their nature, are going to be unhappy. They settle for less than what they are capable of becoming, and they don't even realize their actual value and their true self-worth because they don't stick with something long enough. That's the dabbler. Second type is a stressor. You get involved in a new sport. You get involved in a new relationship. You get involved in a new hobby. I'm going to start working out. I'm going to start doing this. I'm going to start doing that. I'm going to start a new business. And now all of a sudden, you go through success. You're going to end up having a little bit of growth in the beginning, positive reinforcement. Oh, I'm headed in the right direction. But then you hit a plateau. When you hit that plateau, the dabbler is like, I'm out. The stressor says, no, we got to break through this barrier. We got to break through this barrier. We got to break through this wall. And other people are going to look at him like, you're not going to break through that wall. The stressor, no, I'm going to break through that wall. I'm going to break through that wall. And then eventually, boom, they break through the wall. They break through the barrier. They break through the ceiling. And now all of a sudden it's like positive reinforcement. I did it. There's a breakthrough. I knew we could do it. Quantum leap our success. Let's go. And as you start to experience more growth, all of a sudden you run into new changes, more changes, create new problems, and you plateaued again. And you can't get past that barrier. I can't get past 10 grand a month. I can't get past 5 grand a month. I can't get past $100,000 a month in revenue. I can't get past $2 million or $3 million a year in revenue, which is where we're at with the dental business right now. It's a barrier, okay? So here's what the stressor does. I'm going to stick with it. I'm going to try. I'm going to knock it down. I'm going to knock down this wall, knock. And then boom, you blast past the ceiling and you create a new breakthrough. Ba-boom, great job. So stressors, if they don't quit, will eventually get to the pinnacle of their mountain. You're going to get there, okay? But here's the problem. By the time you get there, you're going to be totally stressed out. You're going to be totally burnt out. I've seen people that have done what we've done in business, with the dental business or what I'm doing in coaching, and it takes them years. And I've seen people, and I look at them, and they're like, how old are you? And I'm like, 38, whatever, and they're like, holy shit. You don't look that age. And I look at them and I'm like, how old are you? And they're like 35, 37. I'm like, holy shit.
Oops.
And you look at them and these people look like they're beat up, right? These people look like some of them, they're in their 50s, maybe 60s. But people get so stressed out on their journey to achieving whatever it is that they want. And many times you're going to sacrifice a lot. You have to sacrifice a lot. It's what you need for success. You can't become successful without sacrificing. Everyone knows that. But like if you sacrifice all your time, if you sacrifice time with loved ones, if you sacrifice your health, now there's big issues that are there, right? You cause all this stress and all of a sudden you end up with cardiovascular diseases. You end up with a stroke. You end up with a heart attack. Entrepreneurs are the ones in this profession, outside of dentists, which is funny, are the most likely to experience like cardiovascular diseases because the amount of pressure and stress that we have to put ourselves through to be able to break past these barriers, like it's the reason why creating success is so hard that there is no competition. Out of 100 people, you have 90% of people won't even try something new because they're dabblers. So they won't try and really commit. And out of the 10% of the people, 10% out of 100 will commit to actually doing something. 7 out of those 10 are going to end up falling out because it's just too challenging. It's too hard. It's too rough. And 3 out of 100 are going to find a way to create the successes that they desire. But here's the thing, 90% of people aren't even trying, right? And so the bottom line is, if you become a stressor, you're going to get there. And by the time you do, all you do is a lot of times you end up living in regret, to where you see people in interviews all the time and they say, man, if you knew you had to go through all this stuff to be able to create this $1 million business or this successful business, if you had to do it all over again, a lot of people, you'd be surprised. They say, man, I don't know that I would. I probably would have did something else, because there's going to be an overwhelming amount of challenges. So here's the other part. The third type of person that's going to come in and get involved with any type of opportunity, that's going to find a way to succeed, is going to be the master. You have the dabbler, you have the stressor, and you have the master. And what's the master? The master is the wise person. And they say, listen, I already know that as I enter the world of entrepreneurship, there's a whole world of ambiguity, meaning I don't know what I don't know. You're going to think you know, oh yeah, it's a simple business. Oh, it's so simple. I had someone just tell me the other day, just yesterday, I was on the phone. Someone introduced me to another coach. The coach focuses on credit repair and lending. It's not a direct sales company or anything like that. This is just what they do. And they help people literally get access to 100K in revenue, 200K, 500K in not revenue, in loans, in business funding. So we were talking about how we could collaborate. And when I told him, okay, cool, I have you as a future speaker at one of my events, and we're talking about the events that I put on, I was like, yeah, on a small event, we might have like 40, 50 people that show up for networking and the entrepreneur workshop. On a bigger one, we'll have 250. And I was like, oh my gosh, we need to collaborate. We need to do this. We need to do that. And I started giving him some tips on, here's how I would do it if I were you. If I was going to basically build a team, here's how you actually need to set it up. You need to have a recruiting manager. You need to have a production manager that's going to be working for you. You need to have trainings that you do at least every week or every other week maximum. And then here are the topics you want to cover and go back to. And he was like, oh my God, you just drew this out and you just spit it. Like, we need to be partners. We need to do this. We're going to make so much money together. And I was like, I don't have time to do this. I'm not going to do it, right? And he was like, no, it's so easy. The business is so easy. And I'm like, you know how many times, if I got paid $1, every single time someone told me it's so easy to do this, it's so simple to do this. You have to understand, you get into a different world, there is a learning curve you got to go through. So for him, being in this field and industry now for over 10 years, yeah, it's simple. You know, like the back of your hand, right? An issue comes up, a thought comes up, a challenge comes up. You already know, you've seen this 2 million times. For someone like me, now all of a sudden I got to figure it out. And yes, you're good, but if I'm going to take on the role that I got to take on with other parts that I haven't done before, there's a learning curve. And this isn't important enough for me to accept this challenge, this learning curve I'm going to have to go through. So most people don't realize that whatever it is you think you're going to have to go through to be successful with whatever you want to achieve is going to be 2, 3, 5 times, 10 times harder than what you even could possibly imagine, right? Even Elon Musk, one of the most successful people on the planet, right? Basically says starting a new business is like staring into an endless abyss and eating glass. That's what he says. And this is a person who knows business. He knows how to do it. He knows how to get the funding. He knows like the second you open up you open up this realm for this business, it's just constant, never-ending issues and challenges that you're going to have to continuously solve. And it's going to continue to pull at you. Even if you're not the CEO, even if you're not running it, it is constantly a weight. It is there. And so it's self-torture. So you got to be someone that can handle that. So the wise person, the person that's committed to mastery at the end of the day, here's what they say. They say, I know I'm entering this world of ambiguity. I know there's going to be things that I don't know. So if I'm going to be smart about this, if I'm going to move fast, if I'm going to get far, I need to know somebody who's already gone this way, someone who's already gotten the ideal result that I'm looking for, someone who's achieved the same results, someone who knows the path, and someone that can give me all the game, someone that can give me all the steps, someone that can give me the strategies, show me how to overcome the challenges so that I don't have to take my time, energy, and I could pour that knowledge into my infrastructure, into my own mind, if that makes sense.
100%.
So you got to be the master. You got to be the wise person. Like, I do not do something new without first getting a mentor, and even finding a mentor, even though it's going to shave off years. Literally having one consultation with someone could literally shave off years of trial and error that you're going to have to go through. And most people don't believe that, but those are people that haven't tried anything, because the people that actually do like real consulting, not these bullshit coaches that are out there and, ooh, I'm a successful person, buy my $200 course. I'm talking about someone who spent tens of thousands of hours, 10,000 hours plus in that field. They know it inside and outside, like the back of their hand, spending 1 or 2 hours, maybe not 1 or 2 hours, but at least spending a whole day, whether it's through a workshop, whether it's through a conference, whether it's through a training, and being able to exchange dialogue and talk about here's what I'm experiencing and all that stuff, that will shave off years of someone's life. And if you're not willing to invest into that mentorship and that coaching, then you're going to use your most valuable asset, which is your time. Your time and your attention is the most important thing that you have. And if you are going to spend it to get knowledge that you could have at your fingertips within days, within a couple weeks, why wouldn't you want to spend that money? You know? And I'm not saying this to promote anyone spending, and I'm not saying that every person, every coach that is offering a product is the product that you should buy, right? You need to use discernment. You got to do some research. You got to figure out who's real deal. And one of the best ways to figure out who the real deal is look at all their free content. Like, I've spent $2,000 on coaching. I spent $25,000 on coaching. I spent $25,000 on coaching with a coach that will not be named, but that helped me break into the coaching and speaking, the public speaking business. All right, for anyone, hopefully, he's not going to watch. But it's so funny. I ran into him after not seeing him for 3 years. And this guy charges $25,000 to get the coaching that you need to get in. And I was so fortunate that I found him, and I spent that money, and it was like, all right, oh gosh, I don't want to spend this. But I went to some of his trainings. I saw what he said. This guy knew what he was talking about. This is not a fabricator. This is someone that knows his craft. You could automatically tell. I've spent a whole day at his seminar, spent another day in a different city at a seminar. I went to Chicago just because he was training. I go ahead and I sign up for a seminar that he's going to be speaking at. He does a 1-hour talk. I'm like, all right, this is the guy. So I go, boom, $25,000. All right, cool. What's next? I don't know. Call me if you need me. What? He's like, yeah, I got videos that you're going to watch. And I'm like, this is bullshit. There is no way. And I started diving into videos that all the other people that spent this money, they didn't dive into. because they don't know I'm crazy, right? I'll go through 40, 50 hours worth of videos in 1 week. I'll go through it in one weekend. And other people will take a whole year. They won't go through it. But I go through all these videos. He probably had like 50, 60 hours worth of content. I watch it. And now when I'm talking, doing my consultations with him, I'm asking him questions based on the stuff I've learned. Versus everyone else that spent the 25 grand, they don't know what to ask when they meet. It's like people trying to use ChatGPT. And I was talking with someone just the other week, and I know I'm rambling on. You could stop me at any time.
No, this is amazing.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Okay, cool. And I was talking to a person that was deciding whether they were going to get coaching from me. And I was like, yo, are you using ChatGPT? They're like, I feel it's overrated. I said, you feel it's what?
What?
And they said, yeah, because it's not so simple where it lays it out. I said, no, it actually does lay it out. And he's like, no, because like I'll mention this or that. And then it's like, man, it didn't give me what I want. And I said, well, that's because you're not good at prompting.
The prompt, yeah.
That's right. You're not good at prompting. And I said, if you're not good at prompting, it means you're not good at asking questions. See, people that are real students have a curious mind. You're going to be curious about how to, and you're going to be curious about why to, and you're going to be curious about this strategy and what's the best way. I said, I talk to ChatGPT now today more than I talk to any human being. I'm in a relationship now for a while, and like me and her talk all the time through text, phone, whatever. I talk to ChatGPT more than I talk to my own girlfriend, right? And we're like getting married next year and all that good stuff. And
congratulations.
Oh, thank you. Like she doesn't even know this yet. She's gonna be like, hey, wait, what? But yeah, no, like she's the person. She's freaking amazing. And we talk beginning of each day, end of each day. We're chatting throughout the day, and still that doesn't even compete with the conversations that I have with ChatGPT. And as you do it, it's like anything. It's like a muscle. The more you do it, the better you get. But the people that are really good are people that know how to be curious. The prompts are everything, right? So it's just like you said, right? You're teaching them that if you don't know how to prompt, here's what it tells me. You don't know how to ask questions. If you don't know how to ask questions, you could sign up for the most expensive with the best mentor possible. But because everyone's at a different place in their journey on their road to the top of their mountain, and everyone's climbing different mountains, if you don't know what to ask at the right time, you are going to miss out on an opportunity to really have the best possible answers and have the best tools and resources you need for success. So you got to get good at prompting. You got to get good at questions. Curiosity, the quality of your questions is going to determine the quality of your life. Damn, did I just say that? I did. Tony Robbins is the one that taught me this. The quality of your life is in direct proportion to the quality of the questions that you ask yourself, okay? If you want a better quality of life, you better ask some really great quality questions. Now, most people, they don't achieve a goal. They set out to do something, they can't do it. I want to do 10 sales this month, I can only do 2. I want to get 1 out of 3 people to say yes to me when I'm on the phone, I can only get 1 out of 7 or 1 out of 8 or 1 out of 10 because I suck, right? Most people are going to be like, man, this sucks. The problem is the leads. The problem is I'm not getting good quality leads. The problem is the script doesn't work. The problem is, the problem's on everything else. But my mentor taught me early on, man, he says, yo, the quality of the questions determines the quality of your life. And the quality of your life is based on the quality of the results and the outcomes that you get. So if you want better outcomes and results today, right now, on this call, for this day, in this moment, you better ask yourself a great freaking quality question that's going to help you focus on something else. Because what you focus on expands. So the person that's struggling to close new business, you get new leads that come in, you're closing 1 out of 10, you want to close 1 out of 3, and now you're blaming your company, you're blaming the script, you're blaming your sales manager, you're blaming everything else but yourself. If you were to sit there and say, man, I don't know why they give me such crappy leads, that's one way to go about it, and your mind goes focus on why do they give crappy leads, and your subconscious mind has to actually answer the question. Because your mind is actually the most powerful computer that's out there, right? So you ask, why are they giving me such crappy leads? And your mind has to answer it, even if it's subconscious. And it says, they're giving you crappy leads because you're a crappy salesperson. They're giving you the bottom of the barrel because they don't like you. Why are they giving me crappy leads? They're giving you crappy leads because you haven't proven yourself. Oh man, I'm not good, or they don't like me, or it's a personal issue. It's, why do I have this sucky job where I have to do this? Why can't I get a base pay like this other company? And now your focus equals feeling. Whatever you focus on expands. You're expanding this feeling of, well, if I had a base, this would be a lot better. I wouldn't have to operate on survival mode. Maybe I should think about this other company. And your mind goes down a different rabbit hole because you ask one question. Why are these leads so crappy? Why are they giving me these leads? Why is it that I'm in this situation? Why is it that I'm only closing 1 out of 10? Versus a different question, which would be, how can I make sure that I increase my closing ratio from 1 out of 10 to 1 out of 3? What can I do that's different? What can I do to improve? What can I do? Maybe I can change something in my tonality, because your mind's always coming up with answers. So you ask, what could I do? Your mind says, well, you could change your tonality. You could change your pacing. You could follow this other mentor that's closing out better. You could listen to his calls. You could listen to his calls. You could actually go to another training. You could actually do 1,000 more calls, because maybe doing more calls is going to get you better at doing this. So you can shave down the ratio. Maybe you could go back to that training that you missed, and you know that, you could watch it again. Like, your mind will come up with a million different answers to any question that you ask it. Ask and you shall receive. And people don't know how to ask the right questions. It's like people that are overweight. You have people all the time, man, and then they see people that are in the gym, and then I go to the gym, and then I see someone that's there, and you could tell they're not happy being there, and they're half-assing the weight, and then you could tell they're probably asking themselves, well, why am I so out of shape? Why don't I look like that person? You ask yourself that question, your mind will give you a response.
A whole bunch of them.
A whole bunch of them, right? It's going to give you 20,000 answers all in a millisecond. Oh, well, yeah, you suck because you're not consistent. You suck because you're lame. You suck because you're not motivated. You suck because you're not answering. You suck because your girlfriend left you. You suck because you're not making money. You suck because no one gives a shit about you. And now it's just reinforcement, but it's negative reinforcement. And your mind subconsciously is processing all this information in milliseconds, okay? Versus someone overshape, you ask, man, what can I do to be more consistent? What can I do to improve every single day? What can I do to make sure I end up like that person in 6 months? What can I do to make sure that I don't overproduce these expectations, so I don't over-expect what's possible in the next 1, 2, 3 days? And I actually become okay with the process of, this is a lifestyle. This is not a diet. So I'm going to commit for the next 1, 2, 3, the rest of my life.
Yeah.
I'm just a person that does this work. I'm a person that does this shit. It's like my trainer, he says, you better sit in your shit. He says, gut comfortable. You better sit in your shit. Shout out to Craig, by the way, right? And I love it, because when I'm trying to push on new growth, and he says, more. And I'm like, dude, I can't do no more. He's like, what'd you say? Says, oh my God, I can do more. He's like, yeah, you better. Exactly. Yeah. Let me go ahead. And he puts on a 10 or he puts on a 20. And I'm like, oh my God, I can't push anymore. He's like, what'd you say? And I'm like, all right, I got you. And I'm pushing past it. And even when I can't, he lets the weight sit and he gets all close. He's like, yeah, you're going to sit in this shit until you figure it out. Yeah, you're going to sit in your shit, boy. And that's what he talks about. And I'll sit there with this weight until it's clear I can't do anything. But you know what? Not every time, but maybe 1 out of like every 30 times, I would say, that I sit there, I'm totally maxed out. I can't, my arms give out, and I'm sitting there and this weight's on my chest and I can't even lift it off. He's like, I'm going to leave you there. Like, figure it out. And he'll disappear for like 10 minutes. He's like, oh, you didn't figure it out? Okay, I'll help you. But there's been a couple times where I'm like, I thought I was done. Like, I'm dead. I can't do this. My muscles gave out on me. He leaves. I'm going to go get Gatorade. I'm like, God damn it, bro. Fuck. So you better sit in your shit. You better figure this out. It's between you and you. And he comes back. Somehow I lift up the weight. I racked it up myself. And he's like, yeah. And it'll be a level of pressure that you in your mind believe you can't do. But if you tell yourself you can't do it, if you ask yourself why you can't do it, your mind will always find something to validate the question. And that question, that answer validates a belief that you probably already had. The quality of questions determines the quality of your life. When I'm sitting there with this weight and I can't lift it up, it's like, how in the fuck can I lift this weight up before he comes back so I can prove that I did it? How am I going to do this? Okay, I can't. I'm dead. How am I going to do this? And then something in my head says, well, you didn't take enough break. Like, you know he's going to be gone for 5 minutes. You know you're trying right now. Give yourself a minute. You have this on, it hurts. It's a lot of pressure. It's a lot of weight. If you can just get enough strength to kind of like lift it up a little bit so you could actually breathe. Now, all of a sudden, because I asked the question, how can I lift this up? All of a sudden, okay, give yourself a little room, just breathe. Breathing in means more oxygen. Where does the oxygen go? In the bloodstream. Where does the bloodstream carry it? To your muscles. If I take the next 2 minutes to rest instead of 1 minute like we've been doing, if I take 3 minutes to rest instead of 1 minute like we've been doing, maybe that might give me the recharge that I need. Deep breaths, deep breaths, deep breaths, deep breaths, deeper, deeper, deeper. 3 minutes later, push, push. Okay, I got it lifted. Push, push, push. Oh, I got it lifted. Can I do this? I don't know if I can do this. Wrong question. How can I do this? You're going to do this because you're going to push as much as you fucking can. And then you push this thing up, and it doesn't happen the majority of the time. But 1 out of every blue moon, it will happen. And all of a sudden, I'm looking at myself like, God damn, I just did that shit. And it quantum leaps your success as to what you believe is possible for you, what you believe is possible for your future, what you believe is possible for your physique, for your health, for your fitness, all of that shit.
Amazing, man.
Yeah.
So I got a question for you. This is my question that I ask everybody.
Talk to me.
On the way out. And that is, imagine that you met your 20-year-old self.
Okay.
And you have the ability to give yourself some advice. You're at a point in your life where, because by the way, this is the ideal person that's watching the podcast, right? Avatar apparently is somewhere between 20 and 50. Really, really, really good at sales.
Mm-hmm.
Good.
Mm-hmm.
Just not great.
Yeah.
But good.
Yeah.
What would you tell your 20-year-old self as some advice?
Fail
to
faster.
Help them jump.
Fail faster. Fail faster. It's like, look, your life's already written, right? It is written. At least that's my belief, right? And so you get to, not saying like fate is, there's this weird thing between space and time, and your fate's already been written in one element or perspective of how like the universe works, but then you're also making it through the choices that you make day by day. But then there's this element of there's a future self, that you have. So there's this exercise that I learned. It's something that I do in my daily meditations. And, one of the first things that I teach every entrepreneur is that you need to take control of your day, right? What's the difference between the entrepreneur that has to do the work that they hate every single day and the entrepreneur that has to do the same work, but they don't make the decision to do that work, right, as effectively and as empowered in their actions as the other person that hates it but does it anyways. Like, what's the difference between the two? One of them is more committed, and they know how to get themselves into a state where even if I hate what I'm doing, I'm going to do it well. I'm going to do it like I love it. I'm going to do it with everything that I can. I'm going to do it with all my might. I'm going to do it with everything I got, because there is such thing as empowered actions versus weak actions. You're on a sales call, use the same script. You could actually do it in an empowered fashion, and you could do it in a weak fashion. Right? And so I tell people all the time, I'm like, all right, cool. You have your next call that's coming in. You got to do your next sales presentation. And I say, how are you feeling right now? And they're like, oh my gosh, it's another one, probably not going to buy, whatever it is. So it's like, all right, change the state of mind that you're in. And it's like, how would you feel right now if last month you made $100,000 in commissions? Oh my gosh, I would feel good. What would you do with the 100,000? Oh man, for all these kids, I buy a Lambo. It's like, okay, cool. Now you have your Lambo and you have your $100,000. What else? And it's like, oh man, I'd be able to go do things. I'd probably take a trip. I'd probably change my wardrobe. I'd probably go and pick up some chicks. And it's like, good. Now all of a sudden you got the chicks and you're traveling and you got the Lambo and you got $100,000. And now all of a sudden you got this meeting right now and you got to walk into it. How are you showing up? And they're like, oh man, I'm showing up and I'm feeling good. And I'm like, is this person going to be a customer? It's like, hell yeah. I'm like, why is this person going to be a customer? Because it's me, bitch. You're going to be my customer. And it's like, look at this energy state that you just shifted from. Like, you have a state, a version of you that you're pumping out all this energy and it's attractive. You're vibrating at a higher frequency. You're more likely to attract someone into your world when you're vibrating at that frequency than when you're in a disempowered state. And you're feeling like, man, the last call didn't work out. The call before that didn't work out. The last 7 calls, the last 7 days, the last 7 months. Man, I don't know if I'm good at this. Why do I suck so much? You suck so much because you're an idiot. Your mind tells you that. You're like, I guess I'm an idiot going into this call, right? So you can ask questions to actually change your state, because when you ask a question, your mind has to answer it. When it answers it, you just put your mind in focus on something, and whatever it is that you focus on gives you a feeling, and whatever feeling you have that you constantly focus on expands. You can make that negative, or you can make it positive and use it to your favor. And so for people that are going to learn the scripts, the strategies, when to pause, when the right time is to push, how to develop better relationships, how to develop better rapport, how to get your people to trust you, how to get your people to take a risk on you. Sometimes you're dealing with people and they genuinely don't have resources. They don't have the money. You're trying to sell a product. It might be high ticket. They don't have the money. I've gotten people to overdraft bank accounts. I've gotten people to borrow people's credit cards. I've gotten people to steal people's credit cards. Not me telling them to do it. They just did it. But when people have the ability to change their state because they believe that whatever it is that you're offering is going to serve them, it is good for them, it's good for other people, and it's good for their ultimate purpose and all that stuff, like people will find a way to get the job done. And you, as a salesperson, I don't even like that word, what you really are is an influencer, you have the ability to influence other people. Now, you can't get there without putting in the 10,000 hours. And the only way you get to those 10,000 hours is you have to go through the motions. You have to go through the reps. You have to step up to the plate. You have to swing the bat. And most people stop swinging the bat after 3 strikes. Most people stop swinging the bat or they want to take a break after 100 strikes. Oh my gosh, I can't hit a ball. I can't hit a home run. Let me take a break. Maybe I should go find a job somewhere. Maybe there's security somewhere else. That's okay. And I'm not against jobs. I said most people, you need a job, especially if you're getting into the world of entrepreneurship. Get the job for security so that at least you can survive. Surviving means you get to get back up. You get to stand. You get to fight another day. That's all you need, which is why when I was in limbo, 1 year making 200 grand, the next year, 50. Next year making 400 grand, the next year, less than that. Like it's ups and downs. But my state of mind was always like, you can't take on a new project if you're not feeling good about who you are and what you're capable of. So one, I learned not to get attached to the material things, right? Let go of the big houses, big cars, this, that. I lived in $1 million condos before, driven fucking $150,000 cars and this and that because I want to be flashy, $15,000 watches and this and that. I still got some. I won't say how much, but I got some timepieces that are all lighting up. For the last year, I haven't worn any of them. What do I wear? My $200 Apple Watch. You get what I'm saying? And I have some guys in my team that every once in a while, and I'm talking every once in a while, I bust out with a $15,000 timepiece, $18,000 timepiece. And they're like, damn, where'd you get that from? I'm like, Ben had this, bro. And they're like, yeah, it's sitting there. And they're like, yo, what is this? I'm like, here, you could rock it for the day. Just give it back to me at the end of the day. They're like, oh my gosh. And it changes their state. And for me, I go to a point where I don't need that anymore. But what happens is you develop a level of competence and confidence by going through the reps. And most people stop before they give themselves a chance to actually develop, okay? It's like going to the gym. You need to tear the muscle. You need to break the muscle fibers down. You need to injure yourself. It's self-destruction. But in the process of rebuilding yourself, in the process of rebuilding those muscle fibers, you rebuild yourself stronger. And so my advice to myself is, Karl, man, your first 3 years, you got to where you were because it took you 3 years to, let's say, talk to 500 people, let's say. And I don't know what the number is, but let's put it out there. So is it safe to say that if it took me 500 people that I had to talk to gain the level of experience that would allow me to start making $10, $15, and $20,000 a month as a 20-year-old kid, if it took me 500 people to talk to, is this something that I want to stretch out in a 3-year window of time? Or is this something that I would want to just, let's get this out the way in the next 3 to 6 months? Because every failure doesn't count as a failure as long as you learn from it, right? Every single no, every setback, every defeat, every single time you're going bankrupt, every single time you get your car repossessed, every single time you can't pay your rent, every single time you can't make enough money to pay the bills, that is all failure. And most people, they sit in the failure, they sit in the mess. And that mess, they let define them. What happens is, yes, you got to go through the mess. You got to get your life torn apart. You got to get beat down, busted, knocked in your teeth. Life's going to knock you down. But you also have to sit in your shit long enough to find a way to get back up. And if you can get back up, now all of a sudden you could take another step. And if you could take a step, you could take 2. And if you could take 2, then you could probably take 3. And if you could take 3, you could take 5. If you could take 5, you could take 10. If you could take 10, you could take 100. You might not move as fast as the person next to you, right? But at the end of the day, if you have the ability to move, you better move. And if you could run, you better run. But if you can't run, walk. And if you can't walk, crawl. You better be doing something. And most people stop walking because they see the person next to them flying. But you don't know what that person had to go through to get to the point where they even could fly. They have levels of experience that you didn't see, right? They have rejections, defeat, setbacks, people that sabotage them, broken partnership, broken love affairs, all that stuff that they had to sit in their shit, go through that pit, find a way to recover, and now they came back stronger. And now you look at them 3, 5, 7, 10, 15, 20 years into their journey. I had someone just tell me after I did a talk, it was a few months ago, but I was doing a talk at a conference, and it was funny because a company hired me to do it, and the COO of the company says, normally I give that talk every year. I can't believe that they hired you to do that talk. And he's like, I said, they hired me because I'm fucking good, bro. You know, and when we get to the thing, it was a conference that was in Vegas, and I had to do this talk. The projector stopped working. And the projector stopped working, and they were like, oh my gosh, what are we gonna do? I went through the slides, I revisited the slides, I tweaked the slides, I created the slides. The projector stopped working for 20 minutes in my 1 hour presentation. Guess what I kept doing?
Presentation.
Kept doing my presentation. And at the end, the COO, when we're sitting there at the dinner at the end, was like, oh my gosh, I can't believe, man, I would have died if that done. And I was like, that's exactly why they paid me 15 grand to do this 1 hour talk, and they didn't pay you to do it. And that's why you didn't. That's the difference between me and you. It's just self-mastery. Now, you can't see that when you first meet me. All you see is this kid that looks like he's 30, 38, and I'm here in my 50s, and I have, I got status in my company and all this shit. Okay, fine. Yeah, you got the positionitis and all that bullshit. But yo, I'm a master of the world that I'm in. I've put in my time. I do it with my eyes closed. And that's why I will deliver greater results than anyone else that I'm going to compete with, you know? And if it's something new, I might not be able to do that and create those results today, but you know what? I'm going to stay the course. I'm going to focus on this long enough until my 10,000 hours do go in, and then I do become that person. It's called unconscious competence. So anyways, just to bring it back to answer your question, most people are not willing to give themselves a chance, man. All right, that's the issue. And they sit back and they fail, and then they feel like I can't go on with this feeling because the eyes, the ears, the opinions of other people are going to be the biggest weight that I'm going to carry. They don't know how to let that weight go. And so they just stop and they conform and they say, well, you know, my friends that said I couldn't do this, they're not doing anything, so we might as well grab a beer together, talk shit, watch the game, watch a movie, and not make any type of contribution that'll give any benefit to the rest of mankind. But I can't live that way. You got to make your purpose bigger than any obstacle that you can overcome. And as long as you are committed, go fail. Go fail, get back up. If you need to take a month off, you need to take a week off, fine, repair, fix yourself. But you can't leave this lane. You can't leave the race. You're not leaving this race until you're finished. That's the advice I would have given myself at 20. It's the advice that I still give myself today. Every single time I do my morning meditation, I got to put myself in a peak performance state before I start the day. And sometimes it takes me 30 minutes. Sometimes I go through shitty days where it's just so overwhelming that I might have to move my first couple appointments and take 2 or 3 hours, but I don't leave my setup. I don't leave my house until I'm operating at a level 10. Because at a level 3, I can't bring my best self to the equation. I can't bring my best self to solve questions, to solve problems. I can't bring my best level of self to be able to close new business, to be able to convince people to partner up with me, to get people to invest into ideas because I sold them an idea. I can't do it if I'm not at my best level of self. So it's so important that you got to get yourself there. But once again, during my meditation states, I take a look into the future. I think about what the future version of me 10 years from now and 20 years from now would tell me today. How would you solve this problem? You know, this is what I'm dealing with. How would you deal with this? Come on, Karl, talk to me, talk to me. Come on, K. Smith, talk to me, talk to me. Come on, K. Smith, talk to me, talk to me. Come on, Karl, what is it? What is it? And I spend time sitting in my shit. And if you ask the right questions, ask and you shall receive, you'll have 1,000 different answers, 100 different answers that might come up, but then you find that one is like, oh, I didn't think about that.
I'm a genius.
I'm a genius. And then I run it, ChatGPT. Yo, chat, what's up? What do you think about this idea? How would you improve it? What are my blind spots? What am I missing? ChatGPT talks back because it's all in the prompt. And I'm like, damn, I never even thought of that. Fuck all this other shit. Here's what we're going to do. We're going to sniper school. Instead of trying to do these 10 different things, we're going to focus on this one wall. If we knock down this one wall right here, we knock down this one domino right here, the domino effect is going to help us get everything else that we're going after. And that idea comes, and I'm in a peak performance state, and I just go on that one thing, and I focus, and I go. And that's it.
That's amazing, man. So you guys heard it. Fail faster and sit in your shit.
That's right. That's
guys,
right.
my name is Coach Ceelo. I have helped thousands of top performers, high-ticket earners, timeshare salespeople, you know, sales professionals reach, attain, and maintain 6 figures. You keep listening to me, you'll be the next.